2022 GMC Yukon, is it the best full-sized SUV that you can buy? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. If you're in the market for a full-sized SUV, there is a good chance that you've considered either the GMC Yukon or its platform cousin, the Chevy Tahoe or Suburban. GM has been refining and improving its full-sized SUVs for a few decades now, and both are two of the most popular options on the market. GM completely redesigned the Yukon for the 2021 model year, along with a few additional updates for 2022 that also apply to the Tahoe and Suburban. The question though is it worth considering one over other comparable full-sized SUVs, like say the Ford Expedition, Nissan Armada, or the Toyota Sequoia? Well, make sure to stick around until the end of the video because that's what we're going to find out. So, as always, you can get the Yukon in a couple of different variants. The standard wheelbase or the longer wheelbase, called the Yukon XL, which basically gives you a lot more interior space and cargo room. The same is also true of the Tahoe and Suburban, which is the equivalent of the Yukon XL. One of the most significant updates that GM made when redesigning this generation of Yukon was switching over to a fully independent rear suspension instead of a live rear axle like you got in the past. Now, that independent suspension is a very important update for a few key reasons. Number one, it gives you much better ride quality. And number two, it gives you a lot more interior space, but more on that a little bit later in the video. The ride quality of the Yukon is outstanding. This is easily one of the most comfortable and smoothest SUVs that you can buy. Now, I obviously don't have the Yukon back-to-back against other comparable SUVs like, say, the Ford Expedition or the Toyota Sequoia, but I have spent some time behind the wheel of those, and from what I remember, this is definitely a much more comfortable SUV to drive, and the one I would be much happier to have for a long road trip. I'm also test driving the 2022 Mercedes S580 this week for some TikTok videos that I'm making. And driving the two back to back, I can honestly say that the Yukon's ride quality is really not that far off from the S-Class. And that's one of the most luxurious and comfortable cars on the market. Now that's really saying a lot. In addition to being really comfortable and easy to drive, it also has great performance from the drivetrain. You can get the Yukon with a choice of two different V8 engines. The base 5.3-liter V8 makes 355 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque. Or you can go for the optional 6.2 that gives you 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. These are the same two V8 engines shared across the GM lineup on a bunch of different trucks, and both of them make great power and have excellent refinement. And thanks to the smooth 10-speed automatic transmission and a dynamic fuel management system, you get pretty decent fuel economy too, anywhere from 15 to 20 miles per gallon or around 11 to 17 liters per 100 kilometers, which is pretty decent for a big SUV like this. Now obviously it's no hybrid, but there's something I really like about a big V8 engine on a full-sized SUV like this, and I definitely prefer it to the twin-turbo V6 that you get in the Ford Expedition, which, even though it's supposed to give you better fuel economy, doesn't really have any better numbers. The highway fuel economy is also better than what you get with either the Armada or the Sequoia, both of which are pretty thirsty SUVs. Now, even though GM has historically made pretty reliable and long-lasting small block V8 engines, both the 5.3 and 6.2-liter V8s have recently had some pretty concerning reliability issues. These engines have recently become known for having serious lifter problems, which sometimes require complete cylinder head replacement, which is definitely a pretty big problem. Despite the concerns, GM has been very good about fixing them under warranty, and when they do run right, these engines can last for a very long time. This drives and really feels like a high-quality SUV, and both the Yukon and Tahoe often make the list of some of the longest-lasting SUVs on the market. And I think I'd have more confidence in one of these over something like the Ford Expedition, with a twin-turbo V6 and a 10-speed automatic, which are known for its own issues too. Of course, if you want a tank-like, long-lasting SUV, it's really hard to beat the Toyota Sequoia, which has one of the best reputations for reliability on the market. Now, if you don't want to go for the 5.3 or 6.2 V8, there is a third drivetrain that GM offers, which is the 3-liter turbo Duramax diesel. Naturally, the diesel might be the one to go for if you do a lot of driving and want to get the absolute best fuel economy, as it's rated for up to 27 miles per gallon or around 9 liters per 100 kilometers. I actually have the diesel in my tester here, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed with it. Not only does it have really good fuel economy, but it makes pretty decent power, 277 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, which is the exact same number that you get with the 6.2 V8. And of course, it's a very good engine if you plan to do a lot of towing as well. All three drivetrains are able to tow over 8,000 pounds, which is very impressive. Towing is what these full-sized SUVs are really all about, and is the main reason why you'd consider one over a comparable 3-row crossover. But next to the towing and performance, the other thing the Yukon really has going for it is the interior. This is a pretty nice space to spend time, especially if you go for the top-of-the-line Denali, which gets you nicer interior materials like higher quality leather and all of this wood trim. The tech is also very impressive in here. I haven't mentioned yet that the Yukon, in addition to being related to the Tahoe, is also related to the Cadillac Escalade. And aside from some slightly nicer finishes, there really isn't any tech that you can get in the Escalade that you can't also get in the Yukon. For 2022, GM has added a new Google-based infotainment system, which looks really great. It's very easy to use, and we also have a fully digital gauge cluster behind the steering wheel too. You can also get a great head-up display, a really good surround view camera system that really makes towing a lot easier, and all kinds of other nice comforts that just make this a very enjoyable SUV to live with. I think the control setup of the Yukon with the infotainment system and all of the regular buttons and knobs is also much more preferable to what you get with the Ford Expedition, which has a large tablet-style infotainment system which is just a little bit more finicky to use. All of the features and tech in the Yukon are also much better than what you get with either the Armada or the Sequoia, which are both pretty dated by comparison. In addition to all the great tech, there's also plenty of storage and lots of space in here. One neat feature is the power adjustable center console, which I'm actually finding to be quite practical. Accessing the second and third row seats is also very easy, and there's plenty of space back there for adults to sit comfortable for longer trips. GM has also done a much better job than its competitors when it comes to the rear seat features and entertainment. The available rear entertainment system with its pair of dual touchscreens is probably one of the very best of its kind on the market. The screens are really responsive, have great looking graphics, and a wide range of features, including Wi-Fi connectivity, media streaming, and even the ability to screencast media from your phone, which is really useful. Of course, all of these great features do come at a price. Pricing for the GMC Yukon ranges anywhere from around $55,000 to $75,000 US, or around $65,000 to $100,000 Canadian. Now, if you are looking for more value, you could save some money by going for the Chevy Tahoe, which is less expensive than the Yukon. And you're not really going to be sacrificing much in terms of performance or features because both SUVs are more or less identical. But if you are willing to spend more money and go for the Yukon, which I probably would because I just prefer the way it looks over the Tahoe, I'd go all the way and get the Denali just to get all the great bells and whistles. If you're dead set on having a full-sized SUV, I really do think this is one of the best options. Even though both the Yukon and Expedition have similar performance, towing capability, and interior space, I think the Yukon drives better than the Expedition, and it also has a nicer interior too. And when it comes to the Japanese full-sized SUVs like the Armada and the Sequoia, the Yukon feels like a huge leap forward when it comes to its performance, features, and technology. Really, the only reason I could see choosing a Sequoia over this is if you're planning on keeping it for over 15 years and just want the absolute best long-term reliability and nothing else. Even then, I'm not so sure I would choose it over this. GM really did an amazing job with the redesign of the Yukon, proving that full-sized SUVs are really one of the things that it's best at. You could spend more money and go for something like a Cadillac Escalade, a Lexus LX, or a Lincoln Navigator, and I really don't think that you're going to be getting much more in terms of features or comfort. All things considered, I really think that at the moment, this is the most well-rounded, full-sized SUV that you can buy. So let me know what you think of the 2022 GMC Yukon or Chevy Tahoe. Would you buy one over any of the other full-sized SUVs? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at some of my other car videos by checking out these links over here. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram. And if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to check out carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.